Alrighty, hey guys. This is literally the fourth time I've recorded this, so I'm sorry if it's gonna be uploaded late. But starting off, I hope everyone is doing well, staying positive. As everyone knows, my lesson is gonna be printmaking, so as everyone else is, I'm working from home, so I do not have most of the materials for this lesson, like the brayer, the ink, the everything. So just knowing that, we're gonna go in and try to make this work. So as the students would be coming in, I have this handout for them. I'm gonna put the link or the actual document underneath the video. So if y'all want to like follow along at home, that'd be really cool because that is what we would do in the lesson itself. And honestly, if you want to follow along, the only thing that is really going to be something we did would be question 2 and question 3. And I think we are ready to start. Okay, so the year 2000. Today's agenda. We will discuss and identify different pop sensations and artists from the 2000s. Who is Andy Warhol? Let's talk about it. We will apply contrast, repetition, and color to our pieces, and we will print 3 series of prints. Okay, what do we think of when we hear the 2000s? I would probably give the students about 3 to 5 minutes to work on this and apply this to number 2. And if you're following along or not, number 2 says when they hear this, like, can you visually draw it or like write it down, like what you think of? And I would have them partner up and they would work together with a classmate, and they would come up with these ideas and go from there. Maybe they thought of something that the other classmate didn't, or they were probably struggling with like knowing what happened in the 2000s, and maybe the other person knows. So I think that's really helpful. And so after a few minutes, I'd probably show them this one and say, like, did anyone like have these on there? And probably do something similar to what David did in his lesson and see who had like the most. And I would probably provide like a piece of candy or something for the one that the little group that got the most or something. So that's really cool. So, and we'd discuss it. Maybe people put things on there that weren't on there, and we'd go from there. So let's get stoked about the 2000s. So I went ahead and put the Bye 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 music video in here. I'm not going to play it, but this is what I did. And so we did watch that because it's super cool and everyone would be super hyped about it. And we probably have like a little mini discussion over it, or like if they saw anything cool, what they think, is this something you'd listen to? So yeah. Alrighty, and then I would transition into what we're actually going to be doing by like asking if anyone was familiar with this type of art. Have they seen it before? Do they know who did it? Most likely, at least, hopefully, one of the kids would know, but if not, I'm sure that one of us obviously would know, and I'd be like, yes, that's correct, cool, and then we would transition. So if people didn't know, like, this is Andy Warhol. He looks pretty kooky, he's pretty weird. So he was born in 1928 he died in 1987. He was an American-based artist that led the pop art movement. He grew up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and developed his art career in New York City. And then I went ahead and put in this quote from the Andy Warhol Museum to show like how many pieces of artwork he actually had. And so I'll go ahead and read it. So our art collection includes 900 paintings, approximately 100 sculptures, nearly 2,000 works on paper, more than 1,000 published and unique prints, 4,000 photographs, 60 feature films, 200 screen tests, and more than 4,000 videos. The collection also features Warhol wallpaper and books. So that's from the Andy Warhol Museum. and we'd go from there. All right, and this is more of his work. This one I would probably note saying that this is probably the closest to what we're going to do today, something really similar. And I'd ask like the students what they thought about it. Does it look plain? What do they think about Andy Warhol's like big signature right here? Like, do they like it? Do they not? And yeah, we just have a little discussion about it. So, and then here's another piece. I'd probably note saying like, I didn't realize how many pieces Andy Warhol did, because I only really knew him for something similar to like the banana piece and, you know, the previous pieces like that style. But this is also something that he did, and I think this one's actually really cool and pretty interesting. And then lastly, the Campbell soup cans. I actually knew about this one. It's a Campbell soup can. That's cool. Yeah, and he printed like a lot of these, and you know, they're all the same. I would note like the repetition, and the colors are the same and stuff like that. I believe, unless it was like a fan art, that he has Campbell soup cans in different colors, but I'm not too sure. I know for sure this one is by Andy Warhol, so that's all that matters. All right, so need to know vocab for the assignment. So printmaking, which is what we're going to be doing, is the process of creating artworks by printing normally on paper. Engraving, so we're going to cut or carve on the surface of a hard object. In this case, it's going to be foam, so it's not really a hard object, but it's fine. So a brayer, which is going to be this one right here, is a hand tool used historically in printmaking to break up and rub out ink before it was beaten, and using inking balls or composition rollers. In addition, it's the total number of copies of a book, newspaper, or other published material issued at one time. Proof, a trial impression of a page taken from type or film and used for printmaking for making corrections before final print. And a baron, which is going to be this one, a tool used to smooth out a print onto a piece of paper. So I would ask if anyone had any questions, and then, you know, they probably would say no. So I would say like, all right, well, just to clarify, our proof is probably something similar to a rough draft, like as if you would do a paper. And addition is going to be the number of copies of your print. And we'll go into further explanation of that later. All right, so getting to the nitty-gritty of it. So this is going to be our assignment. Choose a popular pop sensation. Usher, Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera, and Justin Timberlake are provided for you. Carefully tape and trace the picture onto a provided foam board. Using a dull pencil or object to etch, we will transfer the image. Using a brayer, roll ink onto your foam board. Evenly press the foam on a piece of paper until ink transfers, and present 3 editions with 3 prints. This is probably a little bit more explained once I show you the materials, but I would leave this up while they're working. So this is going to be the materials. So they would have something like this, similar. Obviously, it wouldn't be written on already, but it would be printed out for them on a 4x6. It would be, I probably would have probably 2 or 3 of each of the ones that I stated in the piece. But they're more than welcome to want to print whoever they want, to be honest. They could even probably print themselves, just as long as they're having fun and using, like, you know, experimenting with the process. I personally don't really care. But that's just me. So, going from there, I honestly would suggest for them to do this one. So if we're in the classroom, I probably would have had their materials already out, obviously, because this is a lot of work. Their inks would already be out, their papers would already be out, and all the papers would be probably dark colored because, again, I would have suggested this one, and I will go into more detail in a minute. And so, yeah, so I would show them, all right, this is your foam board. You're going to choose one of these and you're going to tape it as best as you can or evenly as you can onto the foam board. So that way this will be later. Be good for us later. I will show them the 2 examples that I did. So I did this one, which is again the one I'm going to suggest, and I did this one. So this one, the student would have to tell me if they preferred this one, because this one is better on a light colored piece of paper with dark ink, and it looks a lot better. So yeah. I did mine in different colored pens, so that way they knew where exactly they're going to, I guess engrave would be the right word. So for this one, if they're going to do this one, I would show them, all right, I went ahead and colored in her shadows and everything dark. So that way, when we look at our foam board, everything that is carved into, the ink is not going to touch. Everything that's flat and smooth, the ink will touch. So this one would be better on dark with light ink because this is highlighting. So it's more natural for this to be lighter than in dark ink, because it'll just look weird. I think I have an example of it if you want to do it like that. I don't, but I have an example of this one in light ink and it just looks wild. So I would note that. And then I would show them this one, which is the first one I did. And it didn't come out the way that I wanted. I definitely prefer this one. But this one I engraved in all of the highlights on the picture. I would tell the students to be careful because I actually ended up ripping mine. And it's fine, it's not the end of the world, but you just have to be a little bit more careful. Like you could see, like there was definitely a lot more tension when I did the ink. But again, I would explain, like, everything you carve in, that's where the ink is not going to touch. Everything you do not carve in is going to be where the ink is going to touch. So yeah, and basically I'd go from there. The goal of the project would be to show that they know how to do a print, that they have 3 editions with 3 prints. So I would ask for a black and white. So they'd all have to be 3 black and it'd be 3 black and whites, all in a row. And then they could do a fun color all in a row. And then they can do whatever they want, honestly, in another row. I would have had like neon print ink, which would have been really cool to see. I honestly, like, I know we had like some purple paper. I would use dark purple, dark blue, whatever. So it would have been like really cool to pop out, or they could have even like printed one color and then maybe even did a second one if they had time and did the other in a different color. It's up to them. Honestly, I would have felt the vibe in the classroom with how fast we would have gone. So maybe the third editions would be maybe using both. So I don't know, it's really hard to I don't want to say plan, but describe this lesson here because it was so hands-on and I definitely would have been able to feel the vibe. Wrapping up for our closing, I would show the students how to properly sign their pieces. And this actually is a picture from my printmaking class that I took a few semesters ago. So the title of our piece, which if we don't have a title, maybe name it the artist that the artist that you chose, your edition number, and your name. If they're all a part of one edition, you can title it 1, 2, and 3. If you did 3, I would just do, again, 1, 2, and 3, because you can obviously see, like, which edition they are. And then if you have, like, any proofs that you want to keep, you could do 1 and 1. So you have, like, those aren't a part of your addition, which is going to be the 3 ones that look the same. So that's going to be on its own. So you would do like 1 of 1 because this is not in our addition. And for these, it would be, so I misspoke earlier. So it would be 1 of 3, 2 of 3, 3 of 3 for each of the rows, or each addition, sorry. But yeah, that's my lesson plan. The cleanup would have been horrible, so this is kind of like cool that we, that we don't have to clean up. That's one positive thing. But yeah, that's my piece, and this is what I did, and I really, really, really think the students would have enjoyed it. And yeah, and obviously, by then they would have filled this out, probably towards the end. I would have made sure that we had a few minutes to do this because it's pretty basic. If y'all want to look at this on your own, obviously you don't have to, but whatever. I'm not gonna cry about it. But yeah, that's my PowerPoint. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope everyone's doing well. Hopefully I'll be able to see y'all next semester. Thanks.